Good afternoon, everyone. It's Lesley Timbol here from Mental Iron. This episode is not brought by rain, but if it was, I highly recommend. This is called Orange Creamsicle. So this is a really good, I like the taste. I mean, I like the apple one I mentioned last week. But if you guys like the rain drinks, or if you've never tried them, it has 180 milligrams of caffeine in it. This is really good as a little pick-me-up in the afternoon. And I like the taste of it, so it's pretty cool. So once again, if you ever want to try Rain, I definitely recommend the Orange Creamsicle. And Rain, if you want to sponsor me, let me know. So welcome everyone to my question and answer live. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I'm happy to address them. I had a couple of questions that I got DMs for, so I did want to go over them. One had to do with venting. So normally, is it good to get venting out of your system? Sure. Now, one of the questions that was brought up to me is, now let me kind of read it. I'm not going to mention the person's name because I don't know if I have the permission. But they were saying that when it came to venting, they were told that, rather than suppress things. So what I mean by suppress is hold things inside, because things will bother us. But rather than just kind of exploding at people, we try to kind of handle it on the inside. But sometimes it gets to a point where it starts to rise up. Think of it like a kettle that's starting to boil. The temperature gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And at one point, that kettle will be whistling because it's reached the boiling point. If I'm comparing ourselves to a kettle, we don't want to get to the boiling point. So one of the audience members was saying, so what I do is I try not to, get to that point where I'm boiling, but so it helps him to kind of vent. And one of the examples he brought up was when he's driving a car. There's a lot of people out that are driving that probably should not be driving, but when they drive, the way they drive can cause a negative reaction from us, whether they're cutting us off, whether they're driving right on our butts, whether they're, swerving in and out of traffic, they're going super fast, whatever that might be, it can trigger us and make us feel unsafe on the road because of the way they're driving. So rather than bottle that up, this particular person basically vents and let's see if I can find, he calls them stupid people. Now, and apparently, when his wife is in the car, she doesn't like that. And apparently causes issues because she doesn't want to call them stupid, but he wants to again express this venting. So it's kind of saying, is venting good or not? So I want to kind of spend a little bit of time on this to kind of clarify it. So venting in general is a good thing. Now, it's how you vent is the key. So if there is someone I'm using the road as an example when we're driving, I'm just using that as an example that if you're driving and you come across someone who, let's say, cuts you off or does something really dangerous, it's not necessarily the people are stupid. But even if you want to say, that, they're being so stupid doing that, that could be correct. But what it's also doing from a therapy standpoint, it's you're admitting they're getting to you. So what I would rather you do instead of venting is I would want you to spin that a little bit. So let me explain what I mean by that. If someone is driving dangerously or in a unhealthy way that makes you feel unsafe, rather than get angry, I want you to think of a reason of what would actually justify them driving that way. Now, it doesn't mean that they should drive that way, but what could be a potentially good reason that would give them a bit of an excuse to drive that way? So I'll give you an example what I mean by that. So let's say, and I'm not saying stop the guy who's driving like crazy and ask him. I'm just saying theoretically think of something. Let's say a good reason could potentially be, let's say a husband is driving and his pregnant wife is in the passenger side and she's about to give birth. So that is why he's racing. He's racing to the hospital, he's racing. Now, I'm not encouraging speeding, but if she's about to give birth, there could be a reason for him to step on the pedal. Now, is that necessarily the real reason? Maybe, maybe not. But it's learning how to say, how do I not let things get to me as much? And that's part of venting. So yes, you need to be able to express yourself, but it's also managing some of the frustrations in our life because it gets to us. All of us, absolutely. So it's about saying, how do you take something that's frustrating and make it more, palatable is not necessarily the word, but more tolerable. Because when we think about venting, if we say, hey, that person was so stupid, I can't believe they cut me off, what a jerk they were, blah, 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 that gives power to the other person. Now, they don't know that this is going on, but you're giving your power away to saying, this person took me taking control of myself. And this is a way of expressing that because I wasn't able to handle my emotions properly. Now, this takes time. It takes practice. We all get set off. I get set off. But again, it's learning how to manage your emotions, even if it's after the fact. And chances are, and again, I'm just using the driving of the car as an example. There's many examples. And if there's an example that you're not sure how to deal with, just put it in the comments below or in the chat box. I'm happy to address those. But I'm just using that. Chances are that's going to happen again. Now, it may be a different driver. It might be a different situation. But oftentimes, history can repeat itself in some form that when someone or something triggers you, there could be another trigger in the future with that kind of theme in mind. So I just want to give you guys kind of an idea that yes, venting is good, but the thing is that if we let venting happen too often, we're allowing that power to get to us by saying that is bothering me. It's good to get off your chest because I don't want you to basically sit on it either and say, stuff it down to say, oh, I'll work on that later. You might have to, depending on you're around, let's say, work. It might be a work situation. It may not be appropriate for you to be able to express your venting at that moment in time. So it's a timing issue as well. So it depends on the issue. And I know that it's a gray area. Venting can come, I would rather you do venting, let's say in the gym. Get it out in the gym. Just be careful you still are focusing on your movement and you're not just throwing weights around for the sake of being angry. You can have what I call controlled anger. Anger does its own little thing. And that's when people try to do, and they don't necessarily watch their form, but they just try to get as much weight as they possibly can for as many reps as they can or to failure. Now, that on itself, I understand there's certain reasons for that, but you still need to have some type of control over your weight. If you don't, you could get injured, and whether it be temporary, permanently, there's a bunch of things that can happen that would not be helpful for you. So it's about venting with controlled anger by knowing how to manage those angry reactions a little bit more and getting out that venting in other ways. So rather than kind of cursing at people, which I get it. I mean, I've done it too. But I mean, it's about saying, how do I transition so it doesn't sit with me? Have you ever gone through a situation where something happened? Maybe you were having a good day. Maybe you even had a decent night's sleep. And then something or someone said something to you, something happened, and it seemed to wreck your day. You started off really well, but then it just affected you and you thought about it the entire day and it messed you up. Okay. It's about not saying don't be upset when things trigger you. It's how far can you bounce back or how fast can you bounce back when things or people trigger you. And that's a skill. And if you need help with that, I mean, certainly, like I said, put it in the chat box, put it in the comments below if you want me to talk about this a little bit more further. And if you have particular situations, I can really tailor it to that situation. What I like about the lives is that, and I appreciate, people are working at this time of the day, so you can't necessarily come on when I'm on. But like I said, post it in the comments below, and I can always do it either in a future video, or if you can join me on a next live, that would be cool, so I can really tailor my responses to your particular situation. So that has to do with the part about venting. Now, another question I was asked, let me just go to my little thing here. Okay, so another one of the my listeners were saying that they like the content, and one of the suggestions was, they do train, which is great, but sometimes they don't feel motivated to train. And it's not necessarily a particular body part. It's just, they normally like to train, but sometimes they just don't feel like it. They just, they go, it's an effort to get to the gym. So I would say it's not a black and white answer to this, because is it that person is feeling unmotivated for a consecutive number of days, or is it, here and there? Because now you may have heard the concept of overtraining. I understand that there's a lot of controversy as far as people believing, is there such a thing as overtraining or not? I personally believe that there is such a thing as overtraining. However, I think people use the concept overtraining way too much. So it's not necessarily overtraining, but they think it's overtraining. But I do believe that you can get to a state where you're overtraining and you're not getting any benefits from your training. And you might need some time off. There are people, and keep in mind, when I'm talking about bodybuilders, this is not just bodybuilders. This can be athletes. You can get the most elite athletes and they're training their butts off for whatever sport they're doing. Sometimes they need to take a week off. Sometimes they need to take 2 weeks off to let their body recover because of the kind of demand they are putting on their bodies with the exercise, with the training. Let's say they're doing a particular sport. There's a lot that our body goes through wear and tear regardless of your age. Obviously, the older you are, the more careful you have to be and the more injury you can prone you can be, because as far as your joints and your ligaments. So it is important to be able to still train. Now, if it's one of those off days, and it might be a couple of days, you might need to say, okay, what is the source of my not wanting to feeling unmotivated? Is it because I had a crappy sleep? Is it because I haven't been feeling well lately? Maybe something in my family or someone in the household is not feeling it very well, and maybe I'm starting to get some symptoms. Is it that I'm not enjoying my workout? A great thing is sometimes you need to change your workout and then you can be interested in it again. So it could be when I say change your workout, it could be if you really like your training style, what about changing the exercises that you're doing? Maybe changing your split if you do some type of split. Maybe change the exercises entirely and do something completely different than weights. Maybe do some plyometric training for a week. Plyometric training is jump training. Maybe you can take a week off and actually do something that's going to be more stretching. So it would be something like yoga. It could be, different type like Tai Chi. It could be different kinds of things that are better for your body to kind of get some mobility back. I would recommend some physiotherapy. Also, that can be helpful. Some deep tissue massage also definitely can be very helpful. But sometimes we need a week to take a little bit of a break, and then we can actually be interested to go back on it. Sometimes we just get burned out. Sometimes we need, like I said, we get bored of our training, so we might need a shift. Now, let's say it's not that we're bored with our training, we just don't have the motivation. Remember your why. Remember why you're training. Now, not everyone is going to be training to compete in a competition, which is fine. Some people are doing it for their own health, which is a great goal. But you might want to set a little mini goal for yourself. So if you like a particular exercise, let's say pick anything. Let's say you like, let's do cable rows. You do seated cable rows. Okay. How can you make that more interesting? Take any exercise. Make it a little bit more challenging. What would you do differently? I need you to have a reason to go in the gym to actually look forward to doing something a little different about it. So you don't even necessarily have to change your program. You don't even have to change your exercises. You can, but you don't have to. What can you do a little bit differently? Maybe that you haven't done in a while. What about drop sets? Have you done drop sets in a while? Have you done any static holds? And keep in mind, you're going to have to put the ego at the door. I know it's really hard, but put the ego at the door, cut your weight in half, and try to see how hard can you make your contractions if you cut your weight in half and slow down the eccentrics as an example. Do something a little different that's going to be challenging and interesting, because sometimes we just get caught in the motion and we're not making that mind-muscle connection. That can be rewarding if you have something to look forward to. So, and then there's going to be days, guys, you don't feel motivated, and that's okay. But still get your ass in the gym, because there are times, trust me, especially when I'm getting close to a show. When I'm anywhere 3 weeks and under, usually that's where it goes. And sometimes it's more than 3 weeks, depending on how long I've been prepping for it. I don't even want to be in the gym. It's not because I don't like the gym. It's just because of the training I've been doing, because I'm in the gym several times a day. So it's about saying, when you do it, sometimes you have to remind yourself, why am I doing this? What's my goal? And have I ever gone through this before? Have I ever felt like, for me personally, I've done lots of shows. I've gone through this, so I know anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks before a show, my interest in being at the gym goes a little bit down. And I also know from history, from experience, after the show, I usually take some days off, and then I can't wait to get back in the gym. So I know this is a cycle. I know there are days that I would be motivated, and some days I'm not. But when I'm not motivated, I still do it. And I think I've said this before on my podcast. It becomes to me like cleaning a toilet. I don't like cleaning toilets, but it has to get done. So even if you're not competing for a competition, what I would empower you to think about is to saying, have you ever had to do something? And I'm not even talking about weights. I'm not even talking about training, just in life. Is there anything that you currently do or have recently done where you didn't feel like doing it, but you did it anyway because you had to do it? Let me give you an example. How about paying bills? How about paying taxes? I just recently paid my next payment of my HST. So did I want to do that? No. But you do it because it has to get done. Even when so let's go back to working out. When you don't feel motivated to work out, how many people have actually gone to the gym, not felt motivated, but how did you feel after you finished training? For me personally, no matter how unmotivated I will get to when I go to the gym, especially close to show, I always feel better after the gym. I'm like, so glad I did it. So glad I did it. I'm so glad I crushed it. And here's the thing. This is what's really, and I don't know, and let me know in the comments below or in the chat box if you guys have gone through this. But there are days I'm like, okay, I don't have it. My energy is really low because my carbs are really low. And I got to hit legs today. And I just don't feel motivated to do legs. But I'll get in there. Start doing my warm-up sets. I always do warm-up sets before my working sets. And I don't know where this comes from, but I always train better when I'm unmotivated. I don't even know where this happens, and I don't know if you guys experience this too. But I'll go in there thinking, you know what, maybe I'll do a little bit lighter weights, and I'll do slower eccentrics and pause reps. That doesn't happen. Now I will do slower eccentrics, and I can do pause reps, but I pound it out. There's something that switches in me. Now, if you guys go through this, let me know. And if you don't, let me know too. But sometimes I have better workouts when I'm unmotivated. Once I get started, after I get my warm-up sets in me, and I can push heavier weights than if I'm feeling motivated. I don't understand the logic in that, but it does. It's ironic. So I would love to hear from you guys. Have you had experiences when you felt unmotivated? You were training and you actually had a really good workout. In fact, probably better than you've had in a while. So that's been at least my experience. So knowing that, I go into saying, okay, well, if I'm unmotivated, I'm going to have a kick-ass workout because that's what's happened in the past. So, remember your past experiences, and that can be really helpful too. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions. Generally, I'm going to keep this one a little shorter. I'm in the process of packing. For people who don't know, I'm actually going to Vegas. I'm going to finish my Olympia prep at the Dragon Slayer, and I'm looking forward to going there. I will say this. I train at Pure Muscle and Fitness in Burlington. I love that gym. Love the gym. Highly recommend. If you're in Canada, in Ontario, definitely check out the gym. It's a great gym. It's got machines for days. If you want to do leg, I don't even know how many leg machines they have, but it's great for leg workouts. It's great for all types of workouts. I've met so many nice people there. So I'm going to miss it. I call it the Mecca of the North, Pure Muscle and Fitness. But where I'm going in Vegas, the Dragon Slayer, I consider it the Mecca of the South. So I'm looking forward to going there too. So I'll be training there later this week. So I'm in the process of moving. So I'm not going to have as much time to do the Q&A. But if you guys do have other questions, please post them in the chat, because I do want to be able to address them before I wrap up for today. Lee, most of the time, if I feel like crap, I have a killer workout. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome, Lee. Now, do you find that you have a killer workout with just, now for me, it was legs, but I've actually had it on back days too, and I love training back. Was it just on, Lee, just out of curiosity, have you ever felt like crap on, like, does it matter what kind of body part you're doing, or is it any body part when you feel unmotivated, you have a really good workout? And thank you for joining me, by the way. And anyone else who's watching, feel free to do a thumbs up. It just helps people kind of get access to this information, and then they can post questions or ideas. If you have ideas for future for subjects for my Q&A, or every Friday I do a short video helping you guys deal with whatever kind of issue. Post them in the comments below. If you feel shy about having your name posted, just send me a DM on Instagram. So my handle is LesleyT_mental_iron, which reminds me I have to get caught up in some messages a little bit later. So post them below, because I want to be able to give you guys tools on how to deal with a lot of this stuff that a lot of other people deal with. So if you're dealing with it, chances are other people are too. So if you give it the thumbs up, then that kind of gets it in the algorithm. Now, I don't know how the algorithm really works, but if more people get exposure to this, then they can get some more helpful techniques as well. And like I said, I'm open to other topics. So, yeah, so if anyone else has anything else they want to add or ask questions on, please do so. I'm going to wrap up in a few minutes. And once again, if you haven't tried Rain, the orange creamsicle is really good. I really like it. It actually tastes like an orange creamsicle. So when you're in prep, you're not allowed that kind of stuff. So it's kind of good to have something a little bit sweeter tasting. But yeah, so I'm going to be packing up. I'm going to try to finish doing the bulk of my packing sometime tonight and tomorrow. And then I head to the airport on Wednesday, touchdown in Vegas. And my goal is to be at the Dragon Slayer on Thursday. We'll see if everything goes according to plan. I'll be in a mad rush to get my food in place, because I'd like to be on track with my meal plan. I'm going to pack some food as well. I'm hoping that I can bring my chicken and stuff on fish on the plane. So I have these little Tupperware containers, so hopefully I can do that. Let's see, Lee, any body part. It's like I'll dread going because the whole day might have sucked. You're right. When the workout ends the day great, and I wasn't expecting it. That's great, Lee. And you know what? You're bringing up a good place, a good part, because I tend to train in the morning. So when people are training at different times of the day, it's really interesting to find that, at the end of the day, you're tired, and I can understand why that would even make you feel even more unmotivated. And then you still have a good workout. That's awesome. I think that's awesome. Hey, Dave, nice to see you. Hey, Dave, what's the countdown? What's the countdown now? Lee, maybe you can get on Flex's podcast. Lee, that's my hope. Lee, because Flex, I've called him my dragon brother, because I'm the Canadian dragon. He's the Welsh dragon. So yeah, he's got a great podcast. I was actually watching part of it earlier today when he was interviewing Neil Hill. So I'm going to listen to the rest of it later as I'm packing. But yeah, he has a really good podcast. There are so many good podcasts, bodybuilding podcasts out there. That's what I've been listening. This has been, instead of listening to music, I'm listening to bodybuilding podcasts, because I have a lot of favorites. And there's a lot of them that I have to catch up on. And Flex's is definitely one of them. Yeah, Yoda. Yep. Dave, is that 4 days? Tell me that's 4 days to go. Wow. So that means, hold on, what's today? I don't even know what today is. So for me, it's Groundhog Day. Literally every day is the same, except for the packing. I mean, that's a little different. But then I go into Groundhog Day because I get ready. When I'm getting ready for a show, literally every day is the same. But Yeah, Yoda's really cool. I've worked with Yoda before. He's really cool. Dave, 4 to go. So that means Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Friday, this is your last week. Dave, if I don't have confetti, but if I did, I'd be throwing confetti your way. But I am so happy for you because we were talking about how toxic your work environment is. So I'm counting down with you and I'm cheering you on. That's awesome. Very happy for you. How are you feeling though? How are you feeling that knowing you have 4 days left? And how are they treating, out of curiosity, because they know that you're leaving, how are they treating you this last week? If you feel comfortable, put that in the chat. Yeah, 4 days to go. I can relate. Yeah. Nervous yet excited. Yeah. Well, it's a change, right? Dave, it's a change when you're leaving a company, even though they're toxic. It's about saying, okay, I know it's not healthy for me to be in this work environment, but in order to have that change, you're going to be able to say, okay, what's next? And sometimes it's the unknown. We don't know. But in a way, that's good because you're getting outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes our comfort zone doesn't mean it's healthy. Our comfort zone is what have we done, always done. And sometimes we need to mix things up and saying, in order for me to get something that I haven't gotten before, I need to try a different approach. And by you connecting, with another company that's going to be healthier for you, it's, you want that kind of win-win situation. And then obviously on paper, a job can look really good, but when you get there, let's say the people may not be so nice. And then that makes it a poor work environment. I'm really big on culture as far as the culture of a work environment, culture of a gym, the culture of the gym. I mean, like I said, I love my gym in Canada, Pure Muscle and Fitness in Burlington. I also, because I was in Vegas earlier this year, and I was training at the Dragon's Lair, I love that culture too. It's going to be such, like, I am so excited to go back into the Dragon's Lair because the energy, the vibe, the people, obviously Flex is super cool, but all the people, it doesn't matter if you're an IFBB pro or if you're a mom just trying to get into shape, everyone is treated with respect. Everyone is really polite. It's just an encouraging, it's such a great environment. I love it. I just love it. I can't wait to get back to the Dragon's Lair. I really can't. I hope you guys have good gyms too. And this doesn't mean that there aren't other good gyms in Canada or Vegas or wherever in the world. I'm just advocating those because those are the ones I'm really familiar with. Would I be willing to try other gyms? Of course I would. But for the Olympia, I'm gonna definitely stick with the Dragon's Lair. I really love that gym. Would I be opposed to trying a different gym? Not at all. Not at all. I'm happy to try different gyms. Sometimes it's nice to have a little change. But I have some people that I know at the Dragon's Lair that I'm friends with, and I miss them and I want to see them. So it's really cool. But yeah, I tend to make friends kind of wherever I am. So Dave, they are on their best behavior and trying to get me to extend the date and make myself available. Dave, I am so not surprised by that because when they know that you're going, and you were saying that they're going to be a little lost without you, and that you're training the other person. I think you said you were going to train the other person, right? They have another person. Obviously, I'm not saying you're not training them well, but it takes time to get someone up to speed. So when you get someone up to speed, sometimes it takes longer than, let's say, a week or 2 weeks, and that's okay. But having experience really gives people that sense of security, that what you're doing, and it costs the company less money because the new person's going to make mistakes. Obviously, we all can make mistakes when we're learning something new. But yeah, so yeah, it's enjoy their best behavior because they haven't always had, from our conversations, they haven't always been on their best behavior before. So enjoy these 4 days with the best behavior. But yeah, it'll be really cool. So when I do my live next week on Monday, we're going to have, I'm going to be in Vegas. You will be I don't know if, well, actually, yeah, I'm hoping you can join. Now, here's the thing. This is what I have to figure out, guys. Normally, I do this live after iron therapy. And I don't know if we did, I don't know if iron therapy got aired, but we're actually going to be doing it, an episode, and I don't know if it's going to be live or taped on Friday. Now, it might be replacing the one for today. But normally I do my mental iron after that. Because Vegas is 3 hours behind Eastern Standard Time, I'm not sure right now of the time I'm going to be doing the mental iron, this question and answer thing. So once I figure that out, and I have to figure out when's the best time to travel to the gym, because I tend to either go to the gym, I'll go in the morning, or I'll go basically 1 o'clock and onwards. So because of where my rental place is, I have to figure out where I'm not going to hit traffic. So I'm going to try both. And then based on that, I'll figure out when I'm going to have mental iron. So mental iron will happen next week. I just don't know what time yet. So bear with me. Please be patient. If I can, I'll do a quick little post on here and saying, hey, just to let you guys know mental iron will be at this time. Maybe I'll do that on Sunday if I can remember. I'll try. But like I said, I will have mental iron next week. I'm just not sure exactly what time, but I will try to keep it on Mondays. But like I said, with Vegas time, because it's 3 hours behind, I have to figure out exactly what time I can do. Okay, so Dave, you're on. Okay, yeah. Lee. Thank you, Lee. Thank you. Yes, that's always fun training your replacement. I'm honest and do my best to give the next person the tools they need. Yeah, that's cool. I love it that you guys are encouraging each other. That's awesome. Awesome on getting everything ironed out with the move back. Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a process. We're all going to be adjusting, which is cool. But yeah, and I like this environment because, people can encourage each other. And I've said this to you guys before, that we don't always have to agree, but it doesn't mean we can't have good conversations. So if there's nothing else, guys, I'm going to wrap up because I really do have a bunch of packing to do, and I want to make sure I make it to my flight. Now, it's not until Wednesday, but it's Wednesday morning. And I just have a little bit more packing to do. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. Like I said, I'll try to do my best to do a quick little blurb, maybe on Saturday or Sunday, to let you know what time mental iron will be on Monday. So just give me a little bit of time. I'll do that. Dave, like I said, enjoy these 4 days of them being nice. And I'm celebrating with you. On Friday, I'm going to be remotely from Vegas, sending you mental confetti going your way when you're done your last shift. So congrats on that. Lee, thank you for joining us today. That's awesome. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. I appreciate the well wishes. Yes, as long as there's nothing wrong with the flight and they don't lose my luggage, life will be good. Life will be good. So we'll see. I don't think there should be a problem. So I'm going to put it in the universe. I'm going to have a good flight and my luggage is not going to get lost. How's that? So ask me on Monday, how did my flight go and did my luggage get lost? Because I'm putting out in the universe that life is going to be good and I'm not going to have any issues. So I'm putting it out in the universe. All right. So once again, cheers, guys. I'm going to cheers with my rain drink. Once again, if you haven't tried the Rain Orange Creamsicle, highly recommend it. And if anyone knows anyone on Rain, I would love to work with them. So cheers. Have a great rest of your week. And remember, guys, keep your mental game on. Have a great week, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.